Luis Hart for the Ring magazine, delighted today to be joined here in California with Robert Garcia. Look, I was on holiday and I thought, look, I had to stop over at the gym. Good to be in this morning. Appreciate you letting me come down. But yeah, how's things? How have you been?
Well, you see the gym. We're packed. We have a lot of fighters. Just staying busy. Most of the time, on the weekends, I travel for the fights, and during the week, I'm here in the gym. Mostly Monday through Friday.
Yeah. How'd you do with such a busy gym? There were so many fighters in there today.
It's a great thing that I have a great team. When it comes to traveling, I'm able to travel on the weekends because I have my son, Pita, and then Chepe, Felipe. We have our conditioning coach, Charles Tremblay. And then with fighters like Vergil, I have his dad, I have Hector Beltran with his son. So I have a lot of help. I have a lot of people involved. So that's what makes it easier.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And when I walked in here today, obviously I saw outside Ring Magazine Trainer of the Year. Obviously he's still the current Ring Magazine Trainer of the Year. Obviously it's great to work with the fighters, but to get that personal recognition for yourself, is that always something that's quite nice, would you say?
Well, look, it's something that I don't go through the year thinking I want to get it. If it happens, it happens. It's great. It's awesome being in that building with all the big stars and then calling out my name as Trainer of the Year. It's awesome. It's unbelievable. It was just a great experience. But I don't go out through the year thinking, I need to get it. Like fighters are trained to become world champions. Fighters are trained to defend their title. I'm not doing my work to become Trainer of the Year. If it happens at the end of the year, then it's a great, like I said, it was a great experience. It's a great honor to be named Ring Magazine Trainer of the Year, but it's not something that I'm going out through the year thinking I want to get it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I guess is it a hard one because obviously, ultimately for yourself, success comes down to what your fighters do as well. So is it, I guess, a balance in a sense? Obviously, yourself sort of train them, but also the trust, I guess, is in the fighters to do the job, to have their success as well.
Well, look, it's the way boxing is, especially when it comes to me personally. I don't know how other trainers are or how they do their work, but with me, I go in there, I don't want to lose any of those fights, obviously, and I have to go through it too. I have so many fighters that eventually I have to lose. I could be focused on Bam, on Vergil, on Raymond Muratalla, and I won't lose a fight. Yeah. I'll keep winning. Mm-hmm. But I have 20 plus fighters that are active. Sometimes we go in there and thinking we're gonna win and we don't get the win. It's part of boxing. It sucks. I hate to lose, but it's the way it is. So at the end, that's what I'm more focused on. Just my fighters being in shape, being healthy, and coming out healthy to go back home to their families. I don't really think I have to win them all because it's impossible.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I completely get that. Look, and we'll touch on Vergil obviously in the gym today. He takes on Erickson Lubin in November. Looking forward to seeing Vergil back out there and another solid top 10 opponent for him at 154.
Correct. Look, we all thought he would fight a little bit sooner. His only fight this year against Madrimov was a great performance, great fight in Saudi. We were expecting him to fight a little bit sooner, but opponents, champions, there was always that difference where the fights couldn't happen, the fights couldn't be made. So now it's Erickson Lubin, and that's our next opponent. So now we're focused on him. We're working on getting ready for him. We got plenty of time still, but that's who was available, and that was the best opponent out there to challenge Vergil. Vergil wants to fight for the world titles. He wants to fight against the best in the division, but right now it's Erickson Lubin, and that's the best guy out there to give him that challenge.
Yeah. Is it partly frustrating? I know it's not his fault, but him not boxing for a world title yet, like where he probably done. There's a lot of people that have done less and got one. So is it frustrating? Would you say?
For him, you would have to ask him. And me personally, as a former fighter, I would probably say yes.
Yeah.
It is frustrating that he could be the best in the division, but still doesn't hold a world title. He holds the WBC interim, but it's still not the official one. So it could be a little frustrating for himself, but for me, the manager, the team, he's a champion.
Yeah.
He's the interim champion. He's my champion, and I don't question. He's better than anybody else in the division. So if the fights don't happen, it's because Xander Zayas has Top Rank and he's got his management team that are not going to face him. They could say whatever they want. They're not going to face him.
Yeah.
PBC has Fundora.
Fundora, yeah.
They got other plans for him.
Yeah.
I don't think it'll be too smart to face him and lose to a fighter that signed with Golden Boy and pretty much just give their belts away. Fundora is fighting Keith Thurman, who belongs to PBC also. So they try to keep it in house. So it's not that Vergil can't be world champion. It's just that the champions are not available because of the promotion. The IBF champion is also there available, and that's probably a fight that could easily be made.
Yeah.
But we have to be real too. The IBF has the next day weigh-in, and you could only gain 10 pounds, and that's not going to work with Vergil.
Yeah.
We're not going to risk him. We're not going to force him to hold a weight for next day morning because he could only gain 10 pounds. That'll be hurting him, especially with what he's been through in his life, health-wise.
Of course, yeah.
After the weigh-in, we need to right away feed him. We need to give him everything he needs to recuperate and to be strong for the next day. We can't hold his body to only gain 10 pounds for the next day in the morning. That's impossible for Vergil. So the IBF is also out of the picture because of that. So it sucks to say it, but it's not Vergil's fault that the promoters don't work together, or they're not just going to give us the title against Xander Zayas or against Fundora, because more likely Vergil beats them, and they're going to give out the belt away. They'd rather keep it in house. So I don't blame him either. So for me, Vergil's my WBC champion.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Do you think that there's much more value in Vergil, who he has wins against Bohachuk, he has wins against Madrimov, and coming through Lubin, that's a win against Erickson Lubin. And that, his point was as well. He said it about using Xander Zayas as an example. He said that's much more valuable than someone like Xander, who as say almost sort of fought nobody for a world title. Do you see it as more valuable as that?
100%, because Vergil's last performance against Madrimov showed the world that he should be the #1 champion of the world, and he should be the world champion. It's just politics in boxing, the way it works. He gets paid more than any champion in the division. He gets paid very well, so his purses are great. He's the interim champion, like I said again. He's my champion, he's our champion, and that's all we need.
Yeah. I wanted to ask you about the deal, I guess, with Jaron Ennis as well. I know Eddie Hearn come out and said, look, Ennis is signed to fight Vergil Ortiz. From your end, you happy, I guess, for a fight with boots? What was the deal? Because I see Ortiz Senior come out and said,
I'm going to see Eddie Hearn this weekend because we have fights together in Los Mochis, Sinaloa.
Yeah.
So I want him to show me that contract that's signed already, because I don't believe it.
Yeah, but you obviously, when you look at Vergil matching up against someone like Boots, that's a fight that's been talked about for years, but that's one you'd always be confident in
Oh, look,
Ortiz winning?
If there's no obviously we have to fight Erickson Lubin. We can't look past Erickson Lubin either, but we do have to look ahead, and if it's Boots Ennis, I'll be more than happy for that fight. That's a huge fight. It's a big fight. Boots Ennis is a great fighter, very talented. It's not a world title. If the champions are not available, then we have to move on. We can't wait for any champion. We can't be begging champions either to fight us. We can't force them to fight us either. So we got to move on. If it's Boots Ennis, that's a great fight. That's a beautiful fight for that fight to happen. And then, Boots is not a champion. Vergil's the interim champion, so it would more likely be for the interim champion. So those are two pound-for-pound fighters that could be, fighting for a world title. And even though it's not, it's the two best in the division, I could probably say. Yeah. So I'll repeat it again. Yeah. He is our champion. And
I wanted to, I guess, allude to another thing you said there about the Xander Zayas fight. Are you fully confident you don't think Xander wants any part of Vergil?
Look, Xander Zayas is a young, talented fighter who just became champion at 22. So if I was controlling his career as a trainer and manager, I would do the same thing. If I'm his promoter, just like Top Rank, I talk to Top Rank. I have a really good relationship with Top Rank. And Top Rank is the best when it comes to developing a fighter and protecting him and taking care of their world champions, especially when they're young and when they're still developing. Because Zayas is a world champion now, but he's still developing. At 22, he's still not in his best. He still has a lot to improve and a lot to learn. So I would do the same. I can't blame him. I'm not going to be mad at Top Rank, or I'm not going to be mad at his trainer. I'm not going to be mad at his manager, Peter Khan. Peter Khan's a good friend of mine, and I would do the same. So I don't blame them. I can't be mad at them.
Yeah. I wanted to move on and talk about Jesse Bam Rodriguez, obviously coming off of unifying the win against Cafu, straight back into another unification against Fernando Puma Martinez in November. Looking forward to, I know it's still a while away, but another massive fight for Jesse.
No, I can't wait for that one. It's going to be a great fight. Puma Martinez has proved to be one of the best in the division. Next to Bam, he's probably the second best in the division. But he's gonna come in there to show the world he wants to be the best, and he feels that he's the best. He feels that he's better than Bam, so that's why it's going to be such an exciting fight. I think the boxing world, especially when it comes to that weight division, people don't. That weight division doesn't get that much attention, but from what I hear from people and everybody, I think that's the fight from that card on the 22nd. That's the fight that most people are more excited about. I think people are very excited about Bam versus Puma Martinez. So I think it's going to be a great fight. I think Puma's going to come in his best to try to give us put up a great fight.
When you look at Puma's recent performances and you compare it to obviously, Bam's got a stacked resume, would you say this is Bam's hardest fight to date?
Look, just like it could be his hardest fight, I think there's a chance, there's a better chance of being one of Bam's easiest fights too.
Wow, okay.
Not because I don't want to take credit away from Puma. He's a world champion. He's traveled the world to win fights, to become champion. He hasn't become champion at home. He's the fighter that has gone to different countries as an opponent to pull up the wins, to pull up the upsets. So I got to give him respect. I got to give him credit for that. He's coming to Saudi as an opponent also, because everybody's favoring Bam to win. So that could make it a very difficult fight, because Puma is a great fighter, a great warrior, but Bam also has that style that works perfect when fighters come to you. When fighters come to you, Bam knows how to pick his punches. Bam knows how to work those angles and land those body shots and land those uppercuts. He's done it before. He's done it in many of his fights. When he became champion, his last couple fights have been great performances against Gallo Estrada, who comes to you. He had a great performance. So that's styles make fights, and that's the perfect style for Bam to look great and maybe look at it, maybe make it look easy. I don't expect an easy fight, but it could be.
Okay, interesting. Do you see Bam, maybe not after this fight, but I'm sure he'd want to look at Undisputed, but do you see him going through the weights? Like, do you see like a bantamweight move, a super bantamweight move?
Now that Bam is picking up his fourth belt in the division, and we need one more to become Undisputed, Bam wants to become Undisputed. And he was very good last fight making weight. He had no problem making weight, so he felt, he thought one more fight at 115 and then gonna go to 118. But now that he had no problem making 115, he wants to go for Undisputed. So hopefully we could work something out for March or April of next year to fight for Undisputed. But then after that, 100% we're going to 118.
Okay, interesting stuff, good stuff. I wanted to also ask about Raymond Muratalla. I know there was obviously talk of the Andy Cruz fight that ended up falling through. Obviously it's his mandatory, but a lot emerged of a Kid Austin fight. I guess what's the latest with Raymond?
That's what it looks like. I was told by Top Rank that they would have an answer by the end of this week.
Okay.
So hopefully that's what we're gonna be ready for that. It's not an easy fight. Scofield looked really good in his last fight. He looked sensational. Had a 40-second knockout, first round knockout, which Raymond didn't do. Camarón Cepeda couldn't do. So it makes it a little more interesting. Scofield is a great fighter, great talent, great power. So it's a great challenge for us. You brought up Andy Cruz. What happened there was a misunderstanding when it came to the purse. I don't know if it had anything to do with Matchroom or I have, I don't even want to say any names or anything.
Yeah.
But when I was first approached about the fight, they told me a number, a purse.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
And then a few days later, it changed.
Okay.
So it's not that we didn't want the fight. We would have taken the fight if the first offer would have been what they offered me the second time, because it was still a really good offer.
Was the second offer lower than the first one?
Lower than the first one.
Yeah.
So it was still a great offer.
Yeah,
it was still money Raymond has never made. A lot of champions have never made. It was a really good number, but it did change from the first offer to 3 days later, changing to a new number. So that's where we kind of questioned. We're like, something's going. So that the negotiations went a little bit deeper, and they couldn't do what the number was at first. So we said, look, we also have a title defense that we could do before our mandatory. So we're going to Golden Boy. Golden Boy Promotions people I was the first one that they approached. They told me directly, "Hey Robert, how do you like this fight? What do you think if we start pushing for this fight?" I said, 100%. Let's start working on it, and that's where we're at right now. So hopefully by the end of this week, I have an answer, and if it's a done deal, then we're gonna have a fight also in November.
Okay, good stuff. Yeah, busy November for you then, for sure. Busy November. But yeah, I've got to show about a massive fight that happens next week. Canelo Alvarez taking on Terence Crawford. We're about a week away now. We've seen training footage, we've seen sparring partners as well from either camps. But what do you think ahead of next week in the Allegiant Stadium?
Well, look. On paper, Canelo should win. Canelo's bigger and stronger. And if Canelo lands good punches, I think Canelo could hurt Crawford. Crawford's, first time in that division and jumping 2 divisions where he only had one fight at 154 and didn't look his best either. So there's a lot of questions, about that. And that's why a lot of people think Canelo is going to knock out Crawford. But I'm probably one of the only ones that I do give Crawford a chance. I think Crawford could pull it off. Crawford is very talented. He's very fast. He's very smart in the ring. So I think a perfect fight, Crawford could pull off a decision.
Okay.
I think he could win a decision. I don't pick him. I wouldn't put my money on him winning because it's a very dangerous, risky fight, especially with Canelo being so strong. But Canelo's last few performances, he's looked slow, flat-footed, looking for one punch at a time. And if that's the Canelo that fights Crawford, Crawford could win a decision. Crawford could outbox him, could outsmart him, could land 3-4 punch combinations and move and win a decision. So do I give Crawford a chance? 100% think Crawford could pull it off. Would I put my money on it? Probably not, but I do give him a chance.
Yeah, good stuff. Look, Robert, appreciate you taking time to speak to me. I appreciate you letting me in the gym today. Always a pleasure, and hopefully be catching up sometime soon.
Thanks
appreciate
for coming.
it. Thank you.
Very
Cheers.
much.